You think the world is neutral. You think if you stay good, work hard, mind your own business, and don't harm anyone, everything will eventually work out. But let me tell you something uncomfortable. The world doesn't reward innocence. It tests weakness, and unless you learn this one Machiavellian rule, the world will slowly, silently break you. Not in one dramatic moment, but in 1,000 small humiliations. Today, I'm going to talk to you like a man, talking to another man who's tired of being underestimated. This isn't motivation. This isn't positivity. This is strategy, and the rule is simple. Never appear weak. Even when you are. Most people misunderstand Machiavellian thinking. They assume it means manipulation, cruelty, or betrayal. But if you study Niccolo Machiavelli carefully, especially through his book The Prince, you realize something deeper. He wasn't teaching evil. He was teaching survival in a world where perception is power. And if you don't control perception, perception will control you. Let me explain. From school to office to relationships to friendships, what decides how people treat you? Not your heart, not your intentions, not your inner goodness. It's how strong you appear. The moment people sense hesitation, self-doubt, insecurity, emotional dependence, something shifts in their behavior. Respect drops. Boundaries get crossed. Jokes become sharper. Demands become heavier. The world is not cruel by default, but it is opportunistic, and opportunistic systems feed on visible weakness. Look at history. Leaders who showed too much softness were replaced. Kings who hesitated were overthrown. CEOs who appeared uncertain lost investor confidence. Why? Because power is psychological before it is physical. And Machiavelli understood one brutal truth. It is safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Now don't misunderstand this. This doesn't mean you walk around threatening people. It means you understand how human psychology works. People test limits. They test tone. They test reaction. They test silence. If they see you crumble emotionally, apologize excessively, explain yourself too much, seek validation, they subconsciously register you as lower status. And status decides treatment. Here's something nobody teaches you. Most suffering in adult life doesn't come from enemies. It comes from subtle disrespect. The colleague who talks over you, the friend who borrows but never returns, the partner who slowly loses admiration, the relatives who treat you like a backup option. It starts small, but it grows. Because once people assign you a psychological rank in their mind, they rarely upgrade it unless forced. That's why this rule is survival. Never appear weak. Now let's go deeper. Weakness is not having problems. Weakness is displaying helplessness without control. There is a difference. A lion can be wounded, but if it still maintains eye contact, still holds posture, still controls space, no hyena dares to mock it. Humans are the same. The world is full of emotional hyenas. They don't attack strength. They circle uncertainty. And here is where Machiavelli becomes relevant. In The Prince, he repeatedly emphasizes appearance. He says a ruler must appear merciful, faithful, humane, upright, but must be ready to act against these virtues when necessary. Why? Because the world judges surface. Reality is secondary. Perception is primary. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how two people can say the same thing, but one is respected and the other ignored? The difference is not words, it's certainty. The one who speaks with calm authority without over-explaining, without defensive energy, commands the room. The one who adds 10 justifications after every sentence loses it. This is the Machiavellian rule in action. Control the image. Control the outcome. But here's the deeper layer most people miss. When Machiavelli talks about appearing strong, he is not talking about arrogance. Arrogance is loud insecurity. True psychological strength is controlled minimalism. You don't react instantly. You don't expose all emotions. You don't defend yourself at every accusation. You observe, you calculate, you respond strategically. Let's talk about why the world breaks people. It doesn't break them physically first. It breaks their confidence. Repeated micro-invalidations, small rejections, unacknowledged effort, unfair treatment. Each one chips away at internal stability. And once you start visibly carrying that damage, slouched posture, apologetic tone, anxious laughter, nervous oversharing, the world detects it and pushes harder. Because weakness signals low risk. Machiavelli would say, never let them see the crack in the armor. Not because you are heartless, but because exposure without power invites exploitation. Think about negotiation. If the other party senses desperation, who wins? If you need the deal more than they do, they control terms. If you need the relationship more, they control dynamics. If you need approval more, they control conversation. Neediness is the most dangerous visible weakness, and the world feeds on it. You see, modern culture glorifies vulnerability. Be open. Share your feelings. Express everything. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Vulnerability without hierarchy is dangerous. You share emotional depth only with those who have earned access, not with everyone. Machiavelli didn't survive political chaos by emotional transparency. He survived by understanding human nature. And human nature is not pure. It is competitive. It is status-aware. It is instinctively hierarchical. Even in friendships, even in romance, even in corporate meetings, power dynamics are always present, whether acknowledged or not. The moment you ignore this reality, you become prey to it. Let's go practical. How does appearing weak actually look in daily life? Over-explaining decisions, apologizing when not necessary, laughing at disrespect to avoid tension, texting multiple times when ignored, accepting last-minute cancellations repeatedly, sharing personal insecurities with people who haven't proven loyalty. Each action seems small, but psychologically it lowers perceived strength. And once perception lowers, treatment changes. This is not pessimism, it's pattern recognition. Machiavelli observed courts, rulers, betrayal, alliances. He saw that morality alone doesn't protect you. Power does. And power begins with psychological control. Now here's something important. This rule is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming composed. Coldness is emotional shutdown. Composure is emotional discipline. When someone insults you, you don't erupt. You don't defend frantically. You look. You pause. You respond measured. That pause creates authority. Most people react instantly because they are emotionally governed, but the one who controls reaction controls frame. And whoever controls frame controls interaction. Frame is invisible dominance. For example, if someone mocks you and you laugh nervously, they own the frame. If you stay silent and hold eye contact, you shift the frame. Silence is power when used intentionally, but silence is weakness when it comes from fear. Difference? Intent. Machiavellian rule is about intentional presence. You must train yourself to project internal stability, even when storms exist inside. Because storms are universal. Everyone has fear. Everyone has insecurity. Everyone doubts themselves sometimes, but not everyone displays it publicly. And those who don't command higher respect. Now let's address something dangerous. Many people misinterpret this as fake confidence. No, it's strategic self-control. Fake confidence is loud, exaggerated, attention-seeking. Strategic composure is calm, minimal, precise. Imagine two men walking into a room. One talks non-stop, laughs loudly, seeks attention. The other speaks less, observes more, moves deliberately. Who feels more powerful? Power rarely screams. It radiates quietly. Machiavelli understood that humans respond more to what they see than what they analyze. You can be brilliant internally, but if your outer projection is uncertain, brilliance gets ignored. The world doesn't read minds, it reads signals. Your posture, your pace of speech, your eye contact, your emotional control. These signals form judgments within seconds, and those judgments determine how much space you are given. Space equals influence. Influence equals survival. So what is the deeper psychological mechanism here? Humans evolved in tribes. Status determined access to resources. Even today, the brain subconsciously evaluates, is this person dominant or submissive? Stable or unstable? Leader or follower? If you consistently project uncertainty, the brain categorizes you lower in hierarchy, and lower hierarchy means less respect. This isn't about ego, it's about structure. The world runs on invisible structures of power, and unless you learn this rule, never appear weak, you will unknowingly place yourself at the bottom. Now I want you to reflect. Where in your life are you leaking weakness? Is it in conversations where you over-explain? Is it in relationships where you tolerate disrespect? Is it in professional spaces where you hesitate to claim credit? Each leak is small, but leaks sink ships. Machiavelli would not tell you to become ruthless for no reason. He would tell you to understand the game, and the game is perception. If you appear fragile, people will test your limits. If you appear grounded, people tread carefully. This doesn't mean you never show emotion. It means you choose where and when. Power is selective transparency, not emotional exhibition. Let's go one level deeper. Why do people show weakness publicly? Because they crave validation. They want reassurance. They want someone to say, you're okay. But validation from the wrong people creates dependency, and dependency reduces power. Machiavelli warns against dependency on mercenaries and external forces. Translate that psychologically. Do not depend on external approval for internal stability. If your confidence depends on how others respond, you are vulnerable to manipulation. The strongest position is emotional self-sufficiency. When praise doesn't inflate you and criticism doesn't break you. That stability is intimidating because most people are reactive. When someone can't emotionally shake you, they lose leverage. And leverage is control. The world breaks those who are easy to emotionally control. It respects those who are difficult to destabilize. Now understand something crucial. This rule doesn't guarantee you will never suffer. It guarantees you will not be casually dismantled. Pain is inevitable. Public collapse is optional. When you are facing loss, betrayal, failure, you process privately. You analyze privately. You rebuild privately. And when you step out composed. This is not suppression. This is strategic processing. The world does not need to witness your rebuilding phase. It only needs to see the result, because perception builds myth, and myth builds influence. Many of the most powerful individuals in history carefully curated their image. They hid weaknesses, they controlled narratives. They understood that transparency without power invites attack. Now, before we move forward, let me make something clear. This rule is defensive first. It protects you from unnecessary exploitation. Once protected, then you can choose kindness safely. Kindness without strength is taken advantage of. Kindness with strength is respected. And Machiavelli would always prioritize stability over moral display. Because survival precedes virtue. If you are constantly being drained, disrespected, overshadowed, your moral goodness becomes irrelevant. Strength first, then generosity, never the reverse. Let's pause here. Think about your past year. How many times did you regret reacting emotionally? How many times did oversharing cost you? How many times did someone treat you casually because you made yourself too available? Availability without boundaries signals low value. Scarcity creates perceived worth. This is not manipulation. It's psychological economics. People value what is not easily accessible. If your time, attention, emotional energy are freely given without filter, they depreciate. Machiavelli understood scarcity deeply. Control access. Control value. Now here's the paradox. The stronger you appear, the less you need to prove strength. The weaker you appear, the more you feel the need to justify yourself. That's the trap. Weak projection creates compensatory behavior. You talk more. You defend more. You try harder. And that trying exposes more weakness. The Machiavellian rule breaks that cycle. Instead of proving, you position. Instead of reacting, you observe. Instead of explaining, you decide. The world will test you again and again, through rejection, through competition, through social dynamics. If you crumble visibly each time, the world registers you as fragile, and fragile things are handled carelessly. But stable things are handled carefully. The choice is not between good and bad. It's between aware and unaware. Most people are unaware of how much they leak. You will not, because once you understand this rule, you start seeing patterns everywhere. In meetings, in dating, in friendships, in leadership. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. This is only the beginning. In the next part, we will break down how to build this invisible armor without becoming emotionally dead, how to control perception without losing authenticity, and the exact behavioral shifts that transform how the world treats you. But remember this before we move forward. The world is not designed to protect your softness. It rewards strength. And if you do not learn to project it, strategically, calmly, consistently, the world will shape you through pressure instead of respect. And pressure without preparation breaks people. Preparation creates power. Learn the rule, or become an example of why it exists. Now we go deeper, because understanding the rule is one thing, living it is another. Never appear weak sounds simple, but in real life, emotions are messy. Situations are unpredictable. People are manipulative. So how do you actually apply this Machiavellian rule without becoming paranoid, robotic, or emotionally numb? You build controlled strength, not fake dominance, not loud aggression. Controlled strength. Let's break this down strategically. First, you must master emotional delay. Most people destroy their power in the first 5 seconds of reaction. Someone criticizes you, you defend instantly. Someone ignores you, you double text instantly. Someone disrespects you, you either explode or laugh nervously instantly. Instant reactions expose emotional dependency. Emotional delay creates mystery. When something hits you emotionally, train yourself to pause, not for show, for recalibration. That pause communicates something powerful. I am not easily shaken. Even if internally you are processing, externally you remain composed. This is not suppression. It is timing. Machiavelli wrote about calculated responses because he understood something critical. Power belongs to the one who controls tempo. If others can control your tempo, they control you. Second, reduce unnecessary transparency. Modern culture glorifies emotional exhibition, but power requires filtration. Not everyone deserves access to your fears, insecurities, ambitions, strategies. Information is leverage. The more others know about your emotional triggers, the easier you are to manipulate. Have you noticed how people sometimes use your own confessions against you later? You tell someone you fear failure. Months later, during conflict, they say, "That's why you never try anything big." Now your vulnerability becomes a weapon in their hands. Machiavelli would call that poor political strategy. Vulnerability must be selective and strategic. Shared upward, with mentors stronger than you. Shared inward, with trusted inner circle, never scattered outward. Third, control your body language. Power is first visual. Before you speak, you are judged. Posture straight. Movements deliberate. Eye contact steady but not aggressive. Voice calm and slower than average. Speed communicates anxiety. Slowness communicates control. Observe powerful negotiators, leaders, even high-status individuals in social environments. They don't rush. They don't over-gesture. They don't fill silence out of discomfort. They allow silence to stretch. Silence is uncomfortable for the insecure, comfortable for the strong. If you learn to sit in silence without fidgeting, without explaining, without nervous laughter, your perceived strength multiplies instantly. Fourth, stop seeking microvalidation. This one breaks most people. Compliment fishing, posting for reassurance, constantly asking, "Did I do okay?" Over-checking reactions. Every time you seek reassurance externally, you train others to see you as approval-dependent. Approval-dependent people are easier to dominate. Machiavelli warned rulers not to rely excessively on public affection, because affection shifts, but fear of losing authority stabilizes power. Now, in modern context, we are not talking about fear through intimidation. We are talking about psychological firmness. If people know you have boundaries and consequences, they behave carefully. If they know you just want to be liked, they push limits. Fifth, eliminate visible desperation. Desperation is the loudest form of weakness. In business, it kills negotiation. In relationships, it kills attraction. In friendships, it kills respect. If someone senses you need them more than they need you, balance collapses. Balance is the foundation of power. The one who needs less controls more. So what do? You build internal abundance. Multiple skills, multiple social connections, multiple options, multiple income pathways. When your life does not depend on one source, you stop clinging. And when you stop clinging, your energy shifts. You become harder to replace. Hard to replace individuals command respect. Now let's address something darker. Sometimes the world doesn't just test you, it provokes you. There will be individuals who intentionally try to destabilize you. They poke, they tease, they criticize subtly, they question your competence publicly. Why? Because emotional reaction gives them dominance. If they can make you lose control, they gain social leverage. So here's the Machiavellian counter-strategy. Respond with controlled indifference, not passive silence, measured response. For example, if someone says, "You're not really leadership material," weak response. "What? Why would you say that?" "I've done so much." Strong response. Calm look. Small pause. Interesting perspective. Then move on. That unsettles them, because they expected emotional defense. When they don't get it, they lose power. This is psychological judo. You don't fight force with force. You redirect it. Now let's go even deeper. There is a hidden layer to this rule most people never discuss. Self-perception. If internally you see yourself as fragile, your body will leak signals of fragility no matter how much you fake confidence. So the rule is not just external. It must become internal narrative discipline. Stop narrating yourself as the victim. Stop replaying injustices with emotional intensity. Stop defining yourself by past rejection. Your self-story leaks into posture, tone, decision-making. If you see yourself as someone who always gets treated badly, you unconsciously tolerate bad treatment. Machiavelli understood identity psychology before psychology had a name. A ruler must believe in his authority before others do. Authority is first internal, then projected. Change your internal language. Instead of, "Why does this always happen to me?" shift to, "What adjustment do I make next time?" Victim mindset weakens posture. Strategic mindset strengthens it. The world senses mindset. Now let's talk about controlled unpredictability. Predictable people are easy to manipulate. If everyone knows exactly how you react emotionally, they can engineer your reactions. But if your emotional response is calm and variable, people hesitate before provoking you. This does not mean you become chaotic. It means you don't follow emotional scripts. Sometimes silence, sometimes humor, sometimes brief directness. Unpredictability within calmness creates psychological caution in others. Machiavelli emphasized that rulers must sometimes act against expectation to maintain authority. Predictability invites exploitation. Another key principle: protect your reputation. Reputation is social armor. If people believe you are competent, emotionally stable, and not easy to pressure, fewer people will even attempt to test you. Reputation reduces conflict before it begins. So how do you build it? Consistency. Keep promises. Speak less. Deliver more. Avoid public emotional drama. Avoid oversharing failures. Private mistakes. Public composure. That doesn't mean hiding growth. It means controlling narrative timing. Let's address the fear many people have right now. If I never show weakness, won't I feel alone? Here is the truth. You don't eliminate vulnerability. You compartmentalize it. There must be two versions of you. Public version: composed, stable, strategic. Inner circle version: authentic, open, emotionally honest. But that inner circle must be earned. Trust is not automatic. It is evaluated over time. Machiavelli survived betrayal because he understood loyalty is conditional in unstable environments. Modern society is emotionally unstable. Social media amplifies insecurity. Competition increases pressure. Comparison erodes confidence. In such an environment, public emotional nakedness is risky. Strategic emotional discipline is survival. Now let's shift perspective. What happens when you consistently apply this rule? People interrupt you less. They joke about you less. They test your patience less. They respect your time more, not because you demand it loudly, but because you radiate self-governed strength. Self-governed individuals are difficult to dominate. Domination requires emotional access. If access is controlled, manipulation decreases. But remember something crucial. This rule must never turn into cruelty. Cruelty is insecure power. True Machiavellian mastery is subtle. It is calm, observant, and disciplined. You do not hurt unnecessarily. You simply refuse to be easy. The world doesn't need you aggressive. It needs you stable. Because stability is rare. Let's talk about the long-term effect. If you keep appearing weak, over years something dangerous happens. You internalize how others treat you. If treated casually long enough, you start believing you are casual. If treated as replaceable long enough, you start believing you are replaceable. This is psychological conditioning. Repeated social signals rewrite identity. That is how the world breaks people, not with violence. With accumulated disrespect, the Machiavellian rule interrupts that conditioning. It forces you to project dignity before the world assigns you a lower rank. And over time, projection becomes identity. You start feeling stronger because you act stronger. Behavior reshapes belief. Now here is the final layer. Strength is not about domination. It is about freedom. When you are not easily shaken, you are free. Free from manipulation. Free from constant approval seeking. Free from emotional hostage situations. That freedom is power, and power creates options. Options create security. Security creates calm. Calm creates clarity. And clarity is the ultimate weapon in a chaotic world. Machiavelli did not write for saints. He wrote for survivors. He wrote for individuals navigating unstable systems. The modern world is politically different, but psychologically identical. Status matters. Perception matters. Emotional control matters. If you ignore these realities because they feel uncomfortable, the world will educate you through humiliation. If you accept them, the world will interact with you differently. Remember, never appear weak does not mean never feel weak. It means never surrender your public stability to temporary emotion. You process pain privately. You adapt strategically. You move deliberately. And when you walk into any environment, social, professional, romantic, you carry invisible armor, not arrogance, not hostility. Armor, because the world respects structure, and the one who masters perception shapes structure. The rule is simple. Project stability. Control reactions. Limit access. Maintain boundaries. Build internal authority. Do this consistently, and you will notice something subtle. The world will not try to break you. It will test you, but cautiously. And cautious treatment is respect. That is the Machiavellian rule. Learn it, apply it, or allow the world to keep reshaping you until you no longer recognize the original version of yourself.